Things are getting pretty interesting, to say the least. You've got Pierre Poilievre, who's back in the House and, basically humiliated Mark Carney on his first appearance. That was incredible. But what else is going on in Canada or even in America? Well, Canada needs to worry, very much so, because Trump and the American administration are cracking down on drugs. That you're seeing them, and we're going to take a look at what they've recently done with Venezuela, just full blown going after those who are responsible for drugs and crime happening in America. Canada is a leader in that, so I absolutely think that Canadian officials need to start getting their shit in order. Liberals across the country are starting to drop like flies out of politics, and protests are starting to pick up again now that Parliament is back in session. There's actually quite a bit to take a look at in this video. And Mark Carney literally told the world that, hey, I'm buddies with Trump and I text him regularly. Those are literally words that came out of his mouth. Kind of crazy and hard to believe. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage y'all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We're going to start off with a video of a Ontario Liberal Party leader. No, not Doug Ford, who is basically leaving, which is a good step in the right direction. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions here. Certainly Bonnie Crombie, I think we'll see a lot less of her over the next year or so, or until a successor is chosen. But another period upheaval here for the Liberals. This will be their third leadership contest since 2018, when they lost control of government. What that race looks like, we still don't know. But we are hearing from MPPs, Liberal MPPs, in the last half hour. They're trying to push back on this story that's emerged that there was a caucus revolt when Bonnie Crombie met with them yesterday to discuss the possibility of staying on or leaving as leader. In the last 30 minutes, the caucus has released a statement thanking Crombie for pouring her heart and soul into what it means to be a Liberal. They say that Crombie did ask for their input, but stress there was no revolt. Crombie actually decided to leave some hours after saying she would stay on. She only picked up 57% of party support in something of a leadership review that was scheduled after the election that was held over the weekend. There's no answer right now from the party about when exactly a leadership contest will be held. I spoke to one young Liberal who said it was clear, based on the results of the recent election, that it was time for a new leader.
It's great that we got official party status back, but if we really want to make the inroads with Ontarians and actually have a chance of forming government in the next election, I think it's best to have a new leader that's able to resonate with Ontarians more.
What the party really, really needs is someone who can light the lamp, someone who has the political talent to break through, to get noticed, to take the fight to Doug Ford.
Now, there are some names being discussed in these early few hours of just the race not even being called yet. And top of that list is Nate Erskine-Smith. He was the runner-up in the last Ontario Liberal leadership vote. He is now still a current MP for the Liberals. He was coy when asked on Saturday what his future plans are. Karina Gould's name also came up, also a Liberal MP, and she ran for leadership of the Federal Party earlier this year, coming in third. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Holy smokes. They're dropping like flies out of the race. They don't want it. They don't want it. They can't do it. Well, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. I wonder what other Liberal leaders across Canada are going to be throwing in the towel and moving on, Then we've got Elections Canada confirming that Canada is no longer going through with any electronic voter machines. We're sticking to paper ballots. Here we go. The government of Canada has been pushing, weirdly, voting machines, electronic voting. And that's changing right now. Moving forward, Elections Canada has officially confirmed that there will be no more electronic voting machines.
Voting, is that correct?
Not electronic voting, electronic list. So we continue to use a paper ballot, and we have no plans to walk away from the paper ballot. But when an elector shows up to vote, we have to manage, strike the names, administer the procedures. When we use electronic lists, we can use a scanner and a barcode to scan the voter information card, process that a lot more efficiently, and allow electors to vote at the first available table or even to vote outside of their assigned polling station. So there's a range of flexibility and efficiencies that come with electronic lists of electors, but we will not go to electronic voting.
Okay. Now, I was wondering if you could, in terms of using electronic...
There you go. So what do you guys think of that one? Huh? Elections Canada confirms no electronic voting machines. Canada will use paper ballots only in federal elections. After the disaster in BC, this is massive. Maintaining paper ballots is a great step to keep election integrity moving forward. That's kind of interesting, eh? Holy smokes, look at that. Maybe there is some hope for Canada. Maybe. Then we have CBC host Rosemary Barr, who brings on Stephen McKinnon, which is the government House leader for the Liberals, to talk about housing, how our government is spending way more money than they should, $13 billion to produce only 4,000 homes, and then to talk about how Christians well, he doesn't use the word Christians, but he says that we need to protect places of worship, which is insanely hypocritical for the Liberals to say that, because they've not been protecting Christians at all whatsoever. Let's have a look at this weird interview.
Talk about what some of the priorities are. We've seen some big announcements already last week. I think we got another one coming later today about housing. What kind of pieces of legislation should we expect early on in the fall? Well,
what you're seeing, of course, is us acting on our election commitments. Major projects, housing, indeed, today a major announcement. And during this session, we'll be certainly presenting bills with respect to crime, keeping communities safe. We understand the concern people have. Particularly, we've worked with the provinces around bail reform, about creating safe spaces around places of worship, for example, and making sure that people aren't intimidated as they go to worship. These are the things that we're going to be doing. We'll also be, of course, presenting a budget, a very important budget, in October. The finance minister is busy at work on it right now, and it will chart an economic path for the country. Okay, let's talk about both of those things.
Yeah, so that, securing places of worship doesn't apply to Christians. They don't care about anything happening to Christians. This is the danger and the psychotic behavior of our Liberal government. Is Christianity is unfortunately on its way out in Canada, yet now I think with everything that's happened, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, I think Christianity is going to be making a bigger comeback than ever, right? Like, I've personally been going to church. I've brought my family to church, and there's even been some people that have reached out to me in DMs and emails saying that just me openly talking about my experiences with going back to church and the reasons why, which is motivated by Charlie Kirk, that they've now been motivated to go to church. And so I think Canada is coming back to being a Christian land, man, which is pretty phenomenal to see.
I'll start with the bail reform. What changes should we anticipate from existing bail reform? Because one of the criticisms, as you know, and the Conservatives have put forward their own private members' bill on bail reform, is that the previous version of this with the government allowed for some ease, I think, on bail, would be fair to say, that judges look for the easiest opportunity or the opportunity that it made sense to release the offender back into society. Are the kinds of things that are going to be clamped down? Well, certainly violent offenders, that we needed a new look at that. Let's remember the administration of justice, whether it be Crown prosecutors or courts, or even, for that matter, the capacity of jails to house these offenders or alleged offenders in many cases, is a provincial responsibility. We're going to be working with the provinces on that, but we wanted to remove any doubt that, when you see violent offenders getting reinserted into the community, that's something that needs to be addressed, and we're going to be acting on that. The Justice Minister has listened to folks very carefully. Would that include mandatory minimums, going back to the idea of mandatory minimums for some crimes? I don't want to go too deeply into the legislation, but as you know, that has to be presented to Parliament first. It's a question of privilege, so I don't want to offend that principle, but what
you can expect is that the government will act, I think, very decisively.
Okay, is that the first piece of legislation, though?
The order of legislation, again, is something that we'll determine. We're going to get to work on some existing legislation in this coming week.
Okay, let's talk about the budget. As you said, very significant because of the parameters that the Prime Minister has laid out. He wants to see austerity. He wants to see investment. He's asked for a 15% operational cut across the board for all departments. What kinds of things will be targeted then, if we're talking about operational spending?
Well, look, first of all, there's no question that we need to act on a number of fronts. We need to act to address the trade threats, support industry, steel workers. People watching us this morning, Rosemary, from Sault Ste. Marie or from Hamilton, want to understand that we are going to be supporting those industries, aluminum, the auto sector, significant support.
That's all money, is your point, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then if young people are watching, GST on new homes, these things cost money. They are important investments. We cannot not act on those fronts. But what that means is that we've created some fiscal pressure. There will be a deficit that we have to deal with if we want to pass on a healthy fiscal situation to young people in this country.
There's going to be a fiscal. There's going to be a deficit. Dude, these people are nuts. Oh my goodness. They are literally bankrupting us right in front of our eyes. And yeah, but we kind of have to, right? We kind of have to do that. I'm just so sick and tired of all the hypocrisy, all of the lies from our politicians. It's really annoying. And one of the biggest lies of them all is that our relationship with America is over as we know it. Mark Carney now just confirmed in a weird parliamentary debate, and it's in French, so bear with me, okay? It is translated over. There is, for those who don't know how Canadian Parliament works, our politicians go into this big room and they debate, and when it's said in French, there's an English translator. So it's going to sound weird, but just listen to the words, because Carney literally admits that he's buddies with Trump and texts him regularly, which is the opposite of what he's been saying. Our relationship with America is not over, or is it? Let's have a look.
The Prime Minister's rare presence in Washington, both in terms of the U.S. administration and the economic troubles. Well, his absence was noted a great deal in Washington. When did he go for the last time to Washington, and when will the PM start seriously going to the capital city of our main partner and make it a priority, rather than talking about infrastructure that won't even be put in place until the end of Mr. Trump's term? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, the U.S. President is a modern man. I speak with him regularly. We send each other text messages. But what's the most important right now for Canada is to diversify our trade.
Bernie's bragging about being buddies with
Europe,
Trump?
in Asia, with Africa, and South America. Thank you.
What is going on? Don't get me wrong. I love America. I think that I'm an American who's born in a Canadian's body in Canada. I'm very pro America, but it's just weirdly annoying that our literal, leader, the guy who's leading our country of 40 plus million people, the guy who's handling trillions of dollars, the guy who's representing us on global stages, is literally lying to our faces, insulting our intelligence, saying our relationship with America is over. But yeah, I'm buddies with them. I text them all the time. It's weird. It's really, really weird. And the craziest part is that so many liberals actually fell for it. You've got, more than 50% of the population, or more than the majority of the population voted for Mark Carney and the Liberals, which is super freaking strange. Anyways, I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Are you just as annoyed with this as I am, or do you feel something different? Next, we're taking a look at the other CBC host, David Cochrane, the bald guy from CBC, who is again yet attacking Pierre Poilievre. Pierre is such a divisive and hatred guy, and we thought that he would come back a different person. Can't believe he's actually saying it, but here we go.
See how long it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a lot of talk this summer over whether Pierre Poilievre was going to change his tone, change his style, change his way of doing politics. I don't know, Rosie, like talking to people, close to Mr. Poilievre, like authenticity matters in politics, and him trying to not be who we have seen him be for 2 decades now is not going to look authentic, right? And it's just his impulse is to be aggressive and to attack. And they have taken this tack, though, of proposing things, right? The Canada Sovereignty Act, they're going to have a justice bill they're going to try to put out. And in terms of issues where there may be some cooperation, the federal government is going to move on sentencing. It is going to move on bail. Yep. I think some of the things we saw, again, in the Trudeau government may be changed and rolled back. There may be areas there where they can cooperate with the Conservatives.
Yeah, I think that those are sort of natural places for them to cooperate. I think where it'll be more complicated is obviously around the approach to the economy. I don't think Pierre Poilievre is going to be a different person in here today. But I would point out that he does appear to be trying to reach a bigger audience.
Okay, that loud cheer, it sounds like Pierre Poilievre is on his feet and question period may be about to begin, or he's giving a statement. Here we go. Here's Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney in question period.
Again, I'm just so sick of the media, man. They just lie. Propaganda. It's so annoying. Oh my goodness. Next up, we're taking a look at what's going on in Ottawa. Not in Parliament, but right outside of Parliament. Protests are starting to pick up again. And for the first day of Parliament being back in session, there was a pretty decent sized protest that took place. Let's have a look.
All right, well, hey, morning. Quite a few people here already. All right, there's a few people here. A little bit of a ruckus there. Not entirely sure what that was about. I think it might have been over a sign. May have been over a sign. But as you can see, there's a fairly large group of protesters here outside the House of Commons as our parliamentarians are finally returning to the Hill. Hey. Also, from what I've been told, up ahead here on Parliament Hill, there may be a group of Palestinians. I'm going to check it out.
Let me know down in the comments if this is something that you support. Are you looking forward to more protests taking place? Are you looking forward to the protesters and independent media talking to politicians on their way in and out of work, ask them the questions that our mainstream media refuses to ask? Let me know where you guys stand on that one. And then we got to take a look at Alberta, because some little bit of controversial stuff just arised. Now, it's important to be clear that this is not a digital ID. I actually originally recorded this and I was like, oh God, it's a digital ID. And now I'm undoing it. I know it's hard to tell because I literally only own like black shirts. And so it looks like it was all filmed together, but I can assure you this piece right now is hours apart. So I'm probably going to just put it in black and white so that you know the difference. This is a merger of multiple different IDs into one card, not a digital ID. Okay. Be very, very clear about that. Let's continue. But here's a speech that Danielle Smith just gave.
Today, we're taking another step to fulfill that promise. Starting in late 2026, Alberta will be the first province to implement the addition of Canadian citizenship markers to our driver's licenses and identification cards. This simple addition will have a profound impact on how Albertans interact with their government and their communities. Why are we doing this? Because we believe in making things better, faster, and more convenient for everyone. By including citizenship information on these cards, we're streamlining access to vital services, whether it's applying for student aid, accessing health benefits, or supporting those with disabilities. No longer will Albertans need to carry multiple documents or face unnecessary hurdles. This change means that when Albertans need to prove both their identity and their citizenship, they'll be able to do so with a single document. It's about reducing red tape, cutting down on paperwork, and making sure that government works for you, not the other way around. Programs like Assured Income for the Severely Handicapped, Alberta Student Aid, and the Persons with Developmental Disabilities program all require proof of citizenship. With this new marker, accessing these supports will be simpler and more secure. Adding a Canadian citizenship marker is also about protecting our democracy. Election security is a vital concern in Canada. By adding citizenship information to Alberta's driver's licenses and ID cards, we're taking a proactive step toward ensuring that only eligible citizens cast ballots in our elections. This helps safeguard the integrity of our electoral process and strengthens trust in our democracy. I also want to be clear that non-citizens, such as permanent residents, that still qualify for Alberta's driver's licenses will not have any marker displayed. Lastly, as we announced several weeks ago, we will also be integrating Alberta healthcare numbers onto driver's licenses, also in late 2026. This will also provide additional security around healthcare numbers, as we have learned through our refocusing of the healthcare system that there are more than 500,000 healthcare numbers registered than there are people living in Alberta. 530,438 to be exact, based on second quarter 2025 population estimates.
You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments how you feel about this, because a lot of people have interpreted this as a digital ID, just like myself when I originally recorded it. And so this is getting a lot of pushback. So just let me get some clarity down below in the comments. Are you for this move in Alberta? Are you against it? Let me know where you guys stand. Then we got to take a look at what's going on with Trump and Venezuela, because Trump is really cracking down on very specific things that are bleeding into America. And, well, I'm going to explain in a few moments why Canada should be absolutely concerned about this.
President Trump not ruling out the possibility of strikes on Venezuela's mainland amid rising tensions between the two nations. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with details for us. Hey, Madeline.
This is certainly something to watch, Ainsley. There's been a military buildup in the Caribbean. 5 American F-35 fighter jets were spotted landing in Puerto Rico on Saturday. A source familiar with the issue told Fox earlier this month the Pentagon is deploying 10 stealth fighters to Puerto Rico to fight drug trafficking operations in the region. Now it appears the president is not ruling out the chances that the situation might escalate.
Do you think we will go big strikes on the mainland Venezuela? But we'll see what happens. Look, Venezuela is sending us their gang members, their drug dealers, and drugs. It's not acceptable.
Tensions with Venezuela have been ramping up after the U.S. conducted a deadly strike in the region on September 2nd against what they say was a drug vessel from Venezuela being operated by a narco-terrorist organization.
So still to this day, Canada does not really work that well in conjunction with American officials to stop the drugs going in from Canada to America. Mexico, on the other hand, is doing a phenomenal job of working with American officials, specifically the Trump administration. Here's the FBI director actually admitting that this is a problem with Canada.
On a variety of different criminal enterprises, and they're going and they're sailing around to Vancouver. And I don't care about getting into this debate about making someone the 51st state or not, but they are our partner in the North. And say what you want about Mexico, but they helped us seal the southern border.
And so that, ladies and gentlemen, leaves us in this kind of free fall zone where our prime minister lies about his relationship with Trump, tells his voters that we're supposed to be angry at Trump, but then is bragging about being best friends with Trump and texting him regularly. Yet Canada is not complying with American officials. Maybe they are behind the scenes, or maybe they're not, but then why would America be saying that Canada's not complying? I'm going to trust the Trump administration over our Canadian government any day of the week, because at least they want to secure their borders. They want to strengthen their security all around. In Canada, well, what do? We do absolutely nothing, which is a big part of the problem. And we need to start doing something. Now, we had a chance to try and make big changes a few months ago, and a lot of people thought, you know what, let's vote in the same people that are ruining our country. What could go wrong? Well, the bad news is that it's going to continue to go wrong, unfortunately, unless we become the 51st state. But that's another video for another day. That's the end of the video, folks. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye for now.